Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Mataji. Start with today's session. It's the screen sharing. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Mudiraye Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. Hare Krishna. Screen was. Can you see my screen? Wherever you see it. So welcome to the 15th day of our journey to Janmashtami. We have another 10 days to go before actually the Lord appears. And we welcome and celebrate the wonderful Janmashtami. Before we proceed, I was just thinking, today is Friday. Most of us, if we are not in Krishna consciousness, we would have gone to some party, because after all, this is Friday. Right? We would have gone for somewhere. Of course, now the COVID-19 restrictions are there, but assuming that there are no restrictions, we would have gone out and enjoyed somewhere. But you see, the beauty of devotion, or the power of this process of devotion, is such that we get attracted to hear Harikatha. There is a verse in 4th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. It says, Gata Sangasya Muktasya Jnanabhasthita Chetasa Yajnaya Charatah Karma Samagram Praviliyate. Gata Sangasya Muktasya. Actually, whatever activities we do in our life, whatever people we want to mix or want to associate, is because of the association of the modes of material nature. People who are predominantly under the influence of modes of passion or ignorance would like to do activities which are more sensuous or which are more ignorant, where there is a pleasure, but the pleasure is in the mode of ignorance and passion. So what happens when somebody takes to this process of devotion is Gata Sangasya. He becomes free from the influence of the modes of material nature. Gata Sangasya Muktasya, he becomes free. At least the person comes to a mode of goodness, because even to to be able to hear, to be able to appreciate, to be able to understand, to be able to absorb our consciousness, one needs to come to mode of goodness. Gatasangasya muktasya jnanavasthita chetasa. Then the chetasa, the mind, is fixed in knowledge. Jnana avasthita chetasa. It is situated, fixed on transcendental knowledge. Jnana avasthita chetasa. Yagyaya charatah karma. Then the activities which are performed in that state is all meant for satisfaction of Krishna. Yagyaya charatah. Yagya is another name of Vishnu. Yagyam vai saha Vishnu. Yagyaya charatah karma samagram praviliyate. So basically he becomes completely merged in transcendence. I'm not saying we're in that state yet, but that's the process. That's where, we can go to. Sometimes people wonder what these people are getting out of chanting Hare Krishna mantra or hearing Bhagavatam. But actually they don't know the real bliss, the real ananda lies in hearing and practicing and following this wonderful process of devotion. So welcome one more day in this process of devotion to explore some of the newer facets and hear another interesting, wonderful pastime of Lord and his exchange with the devotees. So this session is dedicated to His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, the founder Acharya of ISKCON. Srila Prabhupada ki. Today's pastime is very much linked and related to this wonderful spotless Purana which Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, the Srimad-Bhagavatam. Aradhyo Bhagavan Brajesha Tanaya Tadhama Vrindavanam Ramya Kachit Upasana Brajabadhu Vargena Ya Kalpita Srimad-Bhagavatam Puranam Amalam Yad Vaishnavanam Priyam Prema Pumartha Mohan. So these are the five things which Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has said. One of them is Srimad-Bhagavatam Puranam Amalam, this spotless Purana. So today's pastime is actually based on the glories of Srimad-Bhagavatam, and let's see how do we understand this Bhagavatam a little more and what are its glories from the pages of Srimad-Bhagavatam itself. One reference from the first canto and another reference from the last canto. So in the first canto Srimad-Bhagavatam it is mentioned Idam Bhagavatam Nama Puranam Brahma Samhitam Uttama Shloka Charitam Chakara Bhagavan Rishi Nishrayasaya Lokasya Dhanyam Swastiyaya Namaha. So this is a verse which talks about the glories of Srimad-Bhagavatam, and it is very important for us also to know what exactly is this Bhagavatam. Is it another book written by somebody else and there are pages where there are black inks, letters are there, or is it something more to it? So this Bhagavatam, the glories of this Bhagavatam is spoken by Vedavyas himself. And Vedavyas is saying, Idam Bhagavatam Nama Puranam Brahma Samhitam. So this Purana, whose name is Srimad-Bhagavatam, Idam Bhagavatam Nama Puranam Brahma Samhitam. So this word used here is Samhitam. Samhitam means non-difference. Non-different to Brahma. So Brahma actually, Arjuna in his prayers in the 10th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, after hearing the Chaturshloki, he says, Param Dhama, Param Brahma, Pavitram Paramam Bhavan. Param Brahma, Param Dhama, Pavitram Paramam Bhavan, Purusham Saswatam Divyam, Adi Devam Ajam Divyam. So there he uses the word Param Dhama, Param Brahma. So that's Supreme Brahman. So here Bhagavatam is compared to Idam Bhagavatam Nama Puranam Brahma Samhitam. So this is Brahma Samhitam. This is non-different from that Supreme Brahman, that Supreme Lord. Idam Bhagavatam Nama Puranam Brahma Samhitam Uttama Shloka Charitam. What does it contain? What is the content in Bhagavatam? Uttama Shloka Charitam. Uttama Shloka is another name of the Lord who is glorified with choicest words. Uttama Shloka Charitam. So it has got all the wonderful activities of the Lord that we are hearing, we are seeing some of the references. So Bhagavatam is filled with Uttama Shloka Charitam. Chakara Bhagavan Rishihi. Bhagavan is referring to another incarnation of the Lord, Rishihi, to Vedavyas. There was a need for one incarnation of the Lord to put everything in writing. And that is how Vedavyas is also considered a Saktyavesh avatar who appeared to compile. Chakara is to compile. Chakara Bhagavan Rishi, compiled by Vedavyas. Chakara Bhagavan Rishi, Nishrayasaya Lokasya. Nishrayasaya. Actually, what Bhagavatam offers, there is, having obtained that, there is nothing more remains to be obtained. There is no more, that is the ultimate benefit. There is, further to that, you can't get anything else. Ultimate, Nishrayasaya, ultimate benefit. Nishrayasaya Lokasya, to everyone who is hearing this, who is getting this message. Nishrayasaya Lokasya Dhanyam. Dhanyam is all successful. Swasti, all blissful. Mahat, all great. So these are very powerful words in glorification of Bhagavatam. Idam Bhagavatam Nama, Puranam Brahma Samhitam, non-different from the Lord. The exact translation of the exact synonym of Brahma Samhitam, Prabhupada says very beautifully. It's a literal incarnation. It's an incarnation of Lord Shri Krishna. Puranam Brahma Samhitam, Uttama Shloka Charitam, Chakara Bhagavan Rishi. Nishrayasaya Lokasya Dhanyam Swastiyaya Namahat. We chant this Swasti mantra, which is meant for invoking auspiciousness. So this is all blissful, all auspicious. Dhanyam is fully successful and Mahat, all perfect. This Srimad-Bhagavatam is the literary incarnation of God, and it is compiled by Srila Vyasadeva, the incarnation of God. It is meant for the ultimate good of all people, and it is all successful, all blissful, and all perfect. Then we will see one more verse. This is from the 12th canto of Srimad-Bhagavatam. Also very important. So it begins with one of the glories of Srimad-Bhagavatam at the beginning canto and ends also with the glory of Srimad-Bhagavatam. Srimad-Bhagavatam Puranam Amalam Yad Vaishnavanam Priyam Yasmin Paramahamsyam Ekam Amalam Jnanam Param Giyate Tatra Jnana Viraga Bhakti Sahitam Naiskarmyam Aviskritam Tat Shunvan Supathan Vicharan Paro Bhaktya Vimuchyan Nara. Very wonderful verse. So he's saying Srimad Bhagavatam Puranam Amalam, spotless Purana. There is no contamination of this. The knowledge which is shared, which is given in Srimad Bhagavatam is free from all the contaminations. That's why this is Puranam Brahma Samhitam, non-different from the Lord. So the Srimad Bhagavatam Puranam Amalam Yad Vaishnavanam Priyam, very dear to the Vaishnavas. Whichever Vaishnavas, whichever group you may belong to. So it is very dear to all the Vaishnavas. Srimad Bhagavatam Puranam Amalam Yad Vaishnavanam Priyam Yasmin Paramahamsyam Ekam. So even the Paramahamsas, the exalted devotees, it is also attractive to them. Yasmin Paramahamsyam Ekam. Even they also sing the glories of this. Amalam Jnanam Param Giyate. They sing this wonderful Bhagavatam, which is giving this Amalam Jnanam, Param Jnanam Giyate, which is spotless and the topmost. Even the Paramahamsas, they sing this wonderful Bhagavatam, which is Amalam and Param, spotless and the topmost. So what is the Bhagavatam actually offering? What is it revealing? Aviskritam is to reveal or to offer. So what Bhagavatam is offering is bhakti. What kind of bhakti? Tatra jnana viraga bhakti. So the bhakti that it is offering is combined by transcendental knowledge and detachment. Tatra jnana viraga bhakti. In the beginning, Bhagavatam in the first canto, there is one verse which says, Vasudeva Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojitaha Janayati Asu Vairagyam Jnanam Cha Yada Hetutam. So this Bhagavatam actually is giving Jnana Viraga Bhakti. Bhakti which is coming with Jnana and Viraga. Not only we are getting transcendental knowledge, also it develops the detachment from this material attraction, material world. Jnana Viraga Bhakti Sahitam Naishkarmyam Aviskritam. And also tells us how we can work in this material world without getting bound, without getting the results of it, being free from the reactions of the work that we are doing. Naishkarmyam Aviskritam. So what should be done about Bhagavatam? Tat Shunvan, we should hear, just hear. Tat Shunvan Supatan, one should study scrutinizingly. Tat Shunvan Supatan Vicharan. Vicharan is to meditate, is to contemplate, not just hear and read. Tat Shunvan Supatan Vicharan Paro Bhaktya. If somebody does this, Paro Bhaktya, if somebody does this with devotion, Vimuchin Naraha, he becomes liberated. Tat Shunvan Supatan Vicharano Paro Bhaktya Vimuchin Naraha. That's the beauty of Bhagavatam. Srimad-Bhagavatam is the spotless Purana. It is most dear to the Vaishnavas because it describes the pure and supreme knowledge of the Paramahamsas. This Bhagavatam reveals the means for becoming free from all material work, together with the process of transcendental knowledge, renunciation, and devotion. Anyone who seriously tries to understand Srimad-Bhagavatam, who properly hears and chants it with devotion, becomes completely liberated. Vimucchen Naraha. So with that introduction, let's get into today's pastime. As you all would have seen, I am assuming at least you would have seen the poster, and the title of today's My Sweet Lord pastime is My Savior. If you have not seen, this is the poster of today's session, My Savior. So as I mentioned yesterday that, we are traveling from Vrindavan to South India. So this is a pastime of a devotee whose life's mission was only to hear Bhagavatam, read Bhagavatam, and talk about Bhagavatam. He was not very well educated. He was not having the knowledge of Sanskrit so much, yet he was so dear to the Lord. So if you have guessed by this time, that's great. If you have not, the devotee that we are talking about today is someone. Before we go there, I just want to remind you of yesterday's discussion that we had. What are the 6 benefits of hearing this pastimes of the Lord? As yesterday I was mentioning, we will just go through that again so that we pay attention to these attributes of these devotees when we hear their pastimes. Of course, it is giving a lot of faith and confidence and conviction in this process, but also the real thing is to see how these devotees have demonstrated it in their life. So there are the 6 lessons which Bhakti Ratnakar says. They are nishtha to Naam and Dham of the Lord. The first thing, actually this is a big difference between a sadhaka and a person who is liberated or who is in the transcendental platform. Tremendous determination to the holy name of the Lord and to his abode, to his Dham, Naam and Dham. Dedication to the words and instructions of Guru. They exemplify in their life. Their dedication to the words or the instructions of Guru are of utmost importance. And these two, if we would have understood and we think it is enough. The third thing is dedication to the words of Vaishnavas. They also take to the words of Vaishnavas very, very seriously. Very seriously. There is a goal to please the Vaishnavas. And yesterday we were seeing that song from Narottam Das Thakur where he sings this Sri Chaitanya Nityananda Sri Advaita Sita Hari Guru Vaishnava Bhagavata Gita. So to advance in spiritual life, only Lord's mercy is not enough. So mercy of Lord is required, Hari. By the mercy of Lord, one gets Sadguru, Hari Guru. And only the mercy of Guru is not enough. Vaishnava, Hari Guru Vaishnava Bhagavat. Actually, Bhagavat Gita is not just Bhagavad Gita. No. Bhagavat, if you see the translation, it is actually referring to Srimad-Bhagavatam, and Gita is referring to Bhagavad Gita. So, Hari, Guru, Vaishnava, and Bhagavad Gita. Attraction and dedication to all these 5 things. Then dealing to other living entities, how they are compassionate and how they are conscious of not giving any kind of trouble or burden in terms of their dealings and actions to any other living entities. They're very, very careful about that. Living in Prapancha is how to live in this material world, because it is not about just developing a relationship and shunning all other material relationships one has, but maintaining those material relationships yet developing strong spiritual relationship with the Lord. And the last one is devotion to Krishna, Guru, and Vaishnavas. So these 6 things we will keep reflecting when we are discussing this pastimes of this exalted personalities, and today is no exception. So today's pastime is, anybody wants to guess? I've shared? Not shared. Narayaniam? Huh? Narayaniam? Butter? Butter. Okay, Narayaniam is close, but not the one. Actually, whatever research I saw, I did. The Narayanam is written by, what is his name? Do you know his name? No. His name is, I'll tell you his name. Velpathur Narayana Bhattahiri. Narayana Bhatta. Okay, so same guy. So they were contemporaries. So you're close, but you need to go to the contemporary of Narayana Bhattahari. Anybody wants to guess this?
Raghunath Das.
No. No. This is South India. Raghunath Das is not here. So the devotee today we are going to discuss is Poonthanam Nambutri. Poonthanam. I briefly mentioned about him in one of the sessions earlier, but very nice, as Balaram Prabhu was mentioning about another devotee who has written this Narayanam, and his name is, I'm sorry, pardon my pronunciation, Melpathur Narayan Bhattahiri, author of Narayanam. They were contemporaries. So this Melpathur, he was an erudite scholar and a renowned poet in Sanskrit. However, Poonthanam was not much qualified in Sanskrit and scriptures, and he was just a moderate writer in local language, Malayalam. So this intellectual limitation earned him the nickname half poet. So if you search for him, half poet Poonthanam, you'll find him. And this Melpathur, who has written Narayanam, he used to laugh at him, laugh at his reading and his recitation of Srimad-Bhagavatam. So one day discourse which was held in Guruvayur temple, and Poonthanam was wrongly reciting something called Padmanabho Mara Prabhu, so which means Lord of Trees, instead of the correct thing which should have been Padmanabho Amara Prabhu, Lord of Immortals. And so Melpathur was present there, and he openly laughed in that assembly, saying that, hey, what are you saying? And it seems immediately a celestial voice from inner shrine declared, I'm also Mara Prabhu, whatever was chanted by Poonthanam. There is a very interesting pastime which happened in the life of this Poonthanam. He was married very early, at the age of 20, and he didn't have a child for a long time. He didn't have a child for a long time. And then, since he didn't have a child for a long time, he was praying to the Lord finally he was blessed with a son. And when he was blessed with a son, he called all the villagers and the relatives, his friends, to come for the celebration. It was for Annaprasanna. So what happened when his wife, she was busy cooking for all the guests and relatives. At that point in time, there was somebody who asked, where should I put this clothes or something like that? And she just pointed to the bedroom and told that you can put it on the bed. And this lady went and she put those clothes on the bed. And then after that, there seems to be some kind of, there are other people also who came, who followed, and they were also, going and putting their clothes on that bed. But little did they realize in their haste to help and cook for the guests that all these clothes were lying on that baby on the bed. And by the time they finished cooking and offering, they came and they saw that the baby is dead because of suffocation. He died. So when this incident happened, actually this is something which is very similar to a great devotee, Narad Muni, in Bhagavatam, when we see that his only shelter was his mother, and when the mother died because of snake bite, he got completely detached from this material world, took it as Lord's plan, and became completely focused on the Lord. Something similar to that happened in the life of Poonthanam. So he has written this song, this beautiful song. It is very popular. It's called Jnanapana. The Jnanapana, he writes, while little Krishna is dancing in our hearts, do we need little ones of our own? So this is very famous. So if Krishna is dancing in our hearts, do we need little ones of our own? So he continued to write and read Bhagavatam. His only goal in life was to read Bhagavatam, go and recite it in the temple of Guruvayur, which was very far. It's about 70 kilometers from his house, but every day he used to travel to this place. So there are two very interesting pastimes of Poonthanam's life. One which I had briefly mentioned about a temple in Kottayur. That's a Shiva's temple which remains closed for 350 days. Only 15 days it remains open. And one day Poonthanam happened to be there. And since Poonthanam is present there, so all the message spreaded, and all the people who have come for darshan requested Poonthanam to speak on Bhagavatam. And he spoke on Bhagavatam, and he was speaking from 10th canto, 59th chapter, where it is the pastime of Rukmini, and there is a particular place where Krishna is telling to Rukmini, why did you choose me? After all, I'm just a cowherd boy. Shishupal would have been more deserving. And hearing this, Rukmini faints. So this pastime he's describing, Poonthanam, very deeply in devotion, very absorbed. He's describing how just this one word for Rukmini, how it was so painful that she fainted. She couldn't take it. So he finished his narration, he finished his discourse on Bhagavatam, and there is a rule in that temple that wherever the bookmark is, the next day the Bhagavatam begins from that same place, wherever the bookmark is kept. So he finished that chapter and he properly kept the bookmark and went home, only to realize next day again the bookmark has gone to 59th chapter. He thought, okay, maybe I forgot or something, and then he again described the same thing about Krishna and that Rukmini and Rukmini's devotion for Krishna and how she fainted. He described that, and he kept the bookmark on the 60th chapter to start and begin the next day, only to realize the next day also it has gone back to the 59th. And like that, it happened for all 15 days. Whatever time he spent, he spoke about one topic. Even people were knowing, but still they were absorbed in hearing that same pastime 15 times. Same thing. So after the 15th day, when everybody has dispersed and they've gone back, Poonthanam also has gone back to his home. He was going back and suddenly he remembered, oh, I forgot my Bhagavatam book in the temple, because the temple will be closed after that. So he wanted to go and get the Bhagavatam book. So when he went there to get his Bhagavatam, he could peep from the walls of the temple. And when he saw from that, he saw that Lord Shiva is seated there and he is giving a discourse on Bhagavatam, same chapter. Mother Parvati is seated and all his followers, this ghosts and goblins, they are also sitting there and hearing him with rapt attention. And after the chapter is over, they were shedding tears, and Shiva closes his discourse, and he looks at people if there is any comments or questions or something. Mother Parvati raised her hand and she told, my dear husband, you narrated this very nicely, but it cannot match the narration of Poonthanam. And Lord Shiva acknowledges that yes, Poonthanam, what he was telling was wonderful, and that is why he was putting it back every day in that same 59th chapter to hear it again from his mouth. Seeing this, Poonthanam was like, he had complete ecstasy in his hands. His hair stood on his ends, and he just takes that and goes back. So that is the glory of Poonthanam narrating this Bhagavatam. Of course, he was completely actually in that the verse that we quoted in the beginning from the first canto. Prabhupada says that idam Bhagavatam nama Puranam Brahma Samitam. To understand this Bhagavatam, one has to hear from the mouth of a Bhagavatam, who himself is Bhagavatam. There is a book Bhagavatam and there is a person Bhagavatam. We are extremely fortunate and blessed to have this Bhagavatam available in this English language, written by a pure Bhagavat, Srila Prabhupada. That's why we are able to appreciate, we are able to even understand, and it is so wonderfully written, this purports. One actually can have the similar experience which this followers of Shiva and other people had in that assembly. Then one day, this Poonthanam, he was, as I said, his house was about 70 kilometers from Guruvayur temple, and every day he used to walk. So while walking, he has to go through a forest. So there is a forest that he has to cross every day without fail. He has to go through that. That's the route. So one day when he was going, he was attacked by a group of dacoits. Robbers, they surrounded him and they started to hurt him verbally and physically. So he gave everything that he had, money, gold ring, whatever he had, he gave it. Still, they were not satisfied. They were still, they were still at him. They wanted to do something more to him. They were very curious to see that Poonthanam was carrying something in a small packet, and he was clinging to it. He was not giving it up. So they said, "What is there in that? We want that thing which you are holding dear to yourself." Poonthanam said, "No, don't bother. This is just a Bhagavatam. This is a book, and I'm a servant of this Bhagavatam. I read and I hear. There is nothing. It's a book. What are you going to do with this?" But the thieves were not convinced about it. And Poonthanam didn't want to part with his Bhagavatam because that was his life's whole treasure. So in that lonely place, when this robbers were trying to attack and snatch that thing from him, he called out very loudly, "Narayana, Narayana, Narayana," and he closed his eyes. And suddenly he realized that there is no more, roars, there is no more this sounds of this dacoits, and there is a fragrant, there is a nice flower, there is a nice fragrance of a flower coming somewhere from nowhere. He could smell it, that there's a beautiful aroma. And when he opened his eyes, he saw that there was a man on a horse, and he was wearing a garland, and all the robbers, they have been beheaded. They're lying dead. So he was very happy, and very happy, not that he was saved from them, very happy that his treasure was not being parted from him. So he thanked this young man and offered him, he just out of his gratitude, because being saved by this dacoits, he offered a ring that he had to this man, just as a matter of gratitude. So that young man didn't accept that gift. He said that he was a minister, and it is his duty to protect the passengers. But still, Poonthanam forced that you take this ring. So he accepted the gift and guided Poonthanam to Guruvayur temple, and he disappeared. Poonthanam was very pleased. He was ready at the Guruvayur temple for the morning darshanam, which happens at 2:30 a.m. That's called Nirmalya Darshanam. So after the Abhishekam, the chief priest, he came out to give prasadam, and then he told Poonthanam that Guruvayurappa appeared in his dream, and he told that on the previous night, he appeared in the dream, and he told that you give this ring to Poonthanam. The ring which the Lord is wearing, he told that that ring you give it to Poonthanam. So when the main priest, he saw the ring on the deity's finger, he took that ring and he gave it to Poonthanam. And Poonthanam was astonished. He was astonished to find out that it was the same ring that he had gifted to the minister. Poonthanam could not believe that it was Guruvayurappa himself who has come down to save him. So this is the story of Poonthanam and Guruvayurappa. There are many parallels, many things that we can learn from this. Of course, it's very inspiring. One of the things which I remembered is from Srimad-Bhagavatam. There is Uddhava. Before Krishna departs, he's asking for his final instructions. In that time, Krishna says, Krishna gives all his instructions, and Uddhava offers his prayers. One of the things which he says is, Pashyami nanyat shranam tavangrihi. Pashyami na anyat sharanam tavangri. Except for your lotus feet, I don't see any shelter. There is no other shelter in this material world. Pashyami nanyat sharanam tavangri dvandvat patrat amrita abhivarsat. So your lotus feet is like a refreshing umbrella that pours down showers of delicious nectar. And also, if you see in Bhagavatam, there is one incident where Uttara was carrying Parikshit, and there was this Brahmastra which was released by Aswathama. At that time, she offers her prayers. Of course, she was surrounded by so many other great warriors, but she just goes to Krishna, and very helplessly she cries out, Pahi Pahi Maha Yogin Deva Deva Jagatpate. Nanyam Tvad Abhayam Pashye Yatra Mrityu Parasparam. O Lord of the Lords, Lord of the universe, you are the greatest of mystics. Please protect me. Pahi Pahi Maha Yogin Deva Deva Jagatpate. Nanyam Tvad Abhayam Pashye. Apart from you, I don't see I can get fearlessness from anybody else. Please protect me, for there is no one else who can save me from the clutches of death in this world of duality. So this is the wonderful pastime of Poonthanam, and how he was so dedicated to Srimad-Bhagavatam, and how so much of devotion, conviction he had on Krishna's shelter. So now I request all of you to look at your screen and offer your heartful prayers to the beautiful deity of Guruvayur, which is located in Kerala. But I think I have not shared the sound.
Krishna Yadava Krishna Yadukula Krishna Madhava Mamava Deva Krishna Yadava Krishna Yadukula Krishna Madhava Mamava Deva.
That is our My Sweet Lord pastime today. Let's go to the Stavamala and hear and chant one shloka. Of course, I want you to remember one thing when we are chanting these shlokas, because these are all prayers which are offered by the pure devotees. We know in one of the names of the Lord is Bhavagrahi Janardana. Right? There is no mention of the name of the Lord as Shlokagrahi Janardana or Stavagrahi Janardana. He does not see how eloquently we are chanting. Of course, that is required. We should not chant with mistakes. But what he is really seeing is with how much of devotion we are chanting. What is the mood, how much of feelings we have while chanting these verses. It's not done very mechanically. So that's why, he's Bhavagrahi. Any simple thing that we are doing, we are offering this Patram Pushpam Phalam to him. But how are we offering? So that how is a very critical and crucial thing in advancing in devotion. Let's see today's prayer. So today's prayer is, your wish is my command. Madhav? Correct. And who's offering the prayer? Okay. Today, all correct, 100%. So Madhav is saying from the picture, actually this is a very, very significant event in the history. It's actually the Rajasuya Yajna of Yudhishthir Maharaj being performed. So what happens in this Yajna, and who is offering this prayer? He has already told it is Yudhishthir Maharaj, so that is also known to you. So Yudhishthir Maharaj is offering this prayer to Krishna. Let's see the prayer, very interesting prayer, and let's understand the meaning and the mood and the context also. Shri Yudhishthira Uvacha. I think we do word by word, so let's go word by word. Shri Yudhishthira Uvacha Ye Syuhu Trailokya Guravaha Sarve Loka Maheswaraha Vahanti Durlabham Labdhva Sira Saiva Anusasanam. Sri Yudhishthira Uvacha Yesyustrailokya Guravaha Sarve Loka Maheshwaraha Vahanti Durlabham Labdhva Sira Saivanusasanam. Shri Yudhishthira Uvacha Yesyustrailokya Guravaha Sarve Loka Maheswaraha Vahanti Durlabham Labdhva Sira Saivanusasanam. Let's see what word meaning. Shri Yudhishthira Uvacha. Shri Yudhishthira said. So it is spoken by King Emperor Yudhishthir. He is also known as Ajata Satru, who doesn't have a single enemy. So that Yudhishthir, after being coronated as the emperor of the whole world, when he was performing Rajasuya Yajna, he is offering this prayer to Krishna. So Shri Yudhishthira Uvacha Ye Syu Trailokya Guravaha. The word Guravaha is the plural. So Guruhu, Guru, Guravaha. The spiritual masters. Ye, who? Syu, there are. Trailokya, of the three worlds. So there are spiritual masters in three worlds. They are doing something. Sarve, all. Lokaha, the inhabitants of the planets. Maha Ishwaraha, and the great controlling demigods. So Yudhishthir Maharaj is referring to Trailokya Guravaha, the spiritual masters of three worlds, and also referring to Maha Ishwaras and the great controlling demigods. They are doing some things. What are they doing? Bahanti. Bahanti is to carry. In Bhagavad Gita, there is this verse which comes, Yoga Kshemam Bahamiham Ananyas Chintayanto Mam Ye Jana Pariupasate Tesham Nityabhiyuktanam Yoga Kshema Bahamiham. I carry. I mean, basically, Krishna is saying, I provide what they lack and preserve what they have. So that same Bahami is Bahanti. So they are carrying. Who are carrying? The Guravaha, the spiritual masters of Trailokya, of the three worlds, and Sarve Lokaha Maheshwara, and the great controlling demigods. What are they carrying? They are carrying actually Anusasanam. Anusasanam is Lord Krishna's command, your command. They say, right, your command is my order. Your order is my command. Is that what it is? So, Anusasanam. So, they are carrying the command of Krishna. Where are they carrying? On their heads. Sirasa. Eva, indeed. Labdhva, having obtained. Durlabham, rarely obtained. Let's see the translation. Sri Yudhishthira said, all the exalted spiritual masters of the three worlds, together with the inhabitants and rulers of the various planets. So the spiritual masters, exalted spiritual masters of all the three worlds, together with the inhabitants and rulers of the various planets, they are carrying on their heads your command. So the command of Krishna is not something which we hear and then forget it, like most of us we do. We hear Bhagavad Gita, we see the instructions of the Lord, yet we don't know what to do with this, and take it for someone else, or when I become old, when I am done with everything, I'll take it. No, it has to be taken on our head. Carry on their heads as my command. And who's doing this? Not some ordinary people, exalted spiritual masters of the three worlds, together with the inhabitants and the rulers of the various planets, carry on their heads your command. And is it very easily obtained? Is Krishna giving instructions so easily or always available? No. Durlabham labdhva, which is very rarely obtained. So that instruction of Krishna, one has to carry on his head as one's command. What is the context? The context is very nice, very interesting to know. So Yudhishthir Maharaj had arranged for this Rajasuya Yajna, and he had invited a lot of Brahmanas, a lot of other kings, and there was a very august assembly of great exalted personalities. And then, of course, Rajasuya Yajna, the purpose of performing that is declaring one's sovereignty over the entire world, that I am the most powerful. So most of the other kings will agree or will give in to your proposal, and they come and participate in that Rajasuya Yajna. But here, Yudhishthir Maharaj had another purpose, to show the world the supremacy of Lord Krishna. So there is an important thing as to who should preside on this Rajasuya Yajna. And the important quality is he should be a brahmachari. He should be completely, he should be a celibate. And there was a debate at that time who should actually preside. And Sahadev suggested the name of Krishna. When Sri Krishna is present here, none could even match. Sri Krishna, the Supreme Lord, is indeed the most exalted person, for he himself comprises all the deities worshipped by Vedic sacrifice. And nearly everyone in the assembly agreed to Sahadev's proposal and loudly congratulated him. Thus King Yudhishthir happily worshipped Lord Krishna. But there was one man who was present there. His name was Sishupal. he could not tolerate this worship and glorification of Krishna. And he stood up from his seat and harshly rebuked the wise elders for choosing Krishna to be worshipped first. Mind you, in that assembly, Bhishma was also present. Narad Muni is present. So many exalted personalities. But in front of Krishna, nobody was, there were no match. So then Shishupal started scolding, attacking, rebuking Krishna. And then others who were present there, they got violent. They were about to punish Shishupal. Lord Krishna stopped them from attacking. And actually there was a boon which was given to Shishupal's mother that, when he offends me, up to 100 offenses, I'll forgive. 100 offenses committed at once, together, in one single instance. I'll forgive him. So if it is within 100. And he used to do that, and he used to stop always within 100 until this time, where he went on and on and on. So as soon as he exceeded 100, immediately Lord Krishna actually called upon Sudarshan, and it decapitated the offender. At that moment, an effulgent spark of light rose out of Shishupal's dead body and entered the transcendental body of Lord Krishna. Immediately after this incident, Yudhishthir Maharaj bows down before Krishna and offers this wonderful prayer. So that is the context. What should be the mood? All the exalted directors of the affairs of this material world, including Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, and King Indra, are always anxious to receive and carry out orders from you. You see, actually, because of our false ego, the verse in 3rd chapter, 27th verse, where it is mentioned, Prakritehe kriyamanani gunai karmani sharvasaha ahankara vimudhatma kartaham iti manyate. Because of this big false ego that we have, it comes as such a big obstacle for us to surrender to Lord. Whereas, here it is mentioned, exalted personalities like Brahma, Shiva, Indra, they all carry this order of the Lord on their head. They receive it. They are anxious to receive and carry out orders from you. They are fortunate enough to receive such orders. They immediately take them and keep them in their hearts. This is very rarely obtained. Actually, to understand the mood, the instruction of the Lord, one needs a pure devotee sent by the Lord. Fortunately for us, Srila Prabhupada is present, who has given this, translations of Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam, and his instructions are very clearly available. It is an extremely rare fortune to find someone, like an exalted spiritual master who knows exactly the mood and intention of the Lord. And it is our duty to follow his instructions. They are fortunate enough to receive such orders. They immediately take them and keep them in their hearts. This is very rarely obtained. Labdhva sudurlabham, as it is told for human life, which is also very rare. Similarly, this orders of the Lord also is very rare. Labdhva sudurlabham. Krishna is eternal form of bliss and knowledge. That's why we should bow down and we should take his orders very, very seriously and practice this. So let's chant the prayer. We will do word by word, then one line, and then 2 lines, and then all 4 lines. Shri Yudhishthira Uvacha Ye Syuhu Trailokya Guravaha Sarve Loka Maheshwaraha Bahanti Durlabham Labdhva Sira Saha Eva Anusasanam. Shri Yudhishthira Vacha Yesyustrailokya Guravaha Sarve Loka Maheswaraha Bahanti Durlabham Labdhva Sirasaivanusasanam. Shri Yudhishthira Vacha Yesyus Trailokya Guravaha Sarve Loka Maheswaraha Vahanti Durlabham Labdhva Sirasaivanusasanam. We will do 2 lines at a time. Shri Yudhishthira Vacha Yesyus Trailokya Guravaha Sarve Loka Maheswaraha Vahanti Durlabham Labdhva Sirasaivanusasanam. Chant the full verse. Shri Yudhishthira Vacha Yesyus Trailokya Guravaha Sarve Loka Maheswaraha Vahanti Durlabham Labdhva Sirasaivanusasanam. Anybody wants to chant? Who has not chanted?
May I, sir? Guru Prabhuji?
Oh, Chandraprabha Mataji, you have chanted once, no?
Yes.
Let's just wait for a minute. If anybody has not chanted once, otherwise you can chant. Wow, so much time. Okay, Chandraprabha Mataji, you can chant.
Okay. Shri Yudhishthira Vacha Ye Sayustrailokya Gurvaha Sarve Loka Maheshwaraha Vahanti Durlabdava Labdva Shir Saivanusasanam.
Yesyus Trailokya Gurav.
Sayustrailokya Gurvaha.
Anybody else wants to chant?
Yes, Prabhu.
Go ahead, Chinmay.
Shri Yudhishthira Yuvacha Yesusya Trailokya Guravaha Sarve Loka Maheshwara Vahanti Durlabham Labdava Sirasaivanusasanam.
Right. So let's go to the next section. So today's activity is, you can see that. So we already had one Ekadashi, which is gone, and today we are having beautiful Jhulan. I don't know how many of you are ready with your own Jhulans, swings that you made, but we will show you from temple the beautiful, gorgeous swing which is prepared for Radha Krishna. You can have a darshan of that. And the activity I saw today, nobody has tried carving Krishna. So I've got something which probably everybody will try tomorrow. And this is called Bake for Krishna. So no need to explain, it is self-explanatory. Prepare one nice cake for Krishna with love and offer it to him. Okay. So that's the activity for tomorrow. I have a few announcements. Okay, let me just tell a few things about this Bake for Krishna, and then announcement, and then we'll just have darshan of Radha Krishna and swing, and then we'll close today's session. First thing is about Bake for Krishna. I am reminded of one pastime with respect to Srila Prabhupada. So you see, I think those of you who have read Srila Prabhupada Lilamrita or have heard about Prabhupada's pastimes, when he came to the US to start this worldwide movement, he was virtually penniless. And he was writing continuously to his god brothers to give some very simple things like a mridanga or a deity of Radha Krishna, because he was constantly shifting from one place to another. He didn't have a deity, he didn't have a mridanga, but he didn't get any support, any assistance from any of his god brothers. It fell into deaf ears. They didn't respond back to him. So after few years, when actually there was a foothold and there were a few temples at different places, and of course at that time there was a land in Mayapur, and the project in Bombay and Vrindavan also simultaneously took off. During those times when Prabhupada had visited Mayapur and the temple inauguration was planned, he had invited all his god brothers to be present there. But unfortunately, his god brothers, being very envious of him, were not even approving this white-skinned Westerners, disciples of Srila Prabhupada, as Vaishnavas. So they were criticizing, and they were telling all kinds of things, that how they can be Vaishnavas and all those kind of things. So at that point in time, whatever, the function happened, and there was a feast which was prepared, and that feast had all kinds of items. There were pizzas, there were cakes, there were you name it, and it was all there. This people, this god brothers of Prabhupada, many of them who would have not probably traveled outside of West Bengal to see some kind of elaborate arrangement like this, they just couldn't think of it. So the reason I mentioned about this is, you see, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Patram Pushpam Phalam Toyam Yome Bhaktya Prayachati. Right? So he's telling that you offer this with love and devotion and I'll accept it. But Lord is not just the Lord of some, one small region or a sector. And, usually the concept of temple that I had before coming to ISKCON is, when you go there, you get prasadam, which is like that chana and sugar candy mixed together. It will be there and they'll give you in hand. It's only when you come to ISKCON temple that you see varieties of prasadam, not just wonderful varieties. So as long as we are not violating the injunctions of the scriptures and not offering something which cannot be offered, the Lord accepts. The Lord is not just Lord of one place; He is Lord of the universe. Anybody who offers with love and devotion, following the scriptural rules and regulations, He accepts. Even to talk about the diversity, if you go to Jagannath Puri, the kind of prasadam which is offered to Lord Jagannath is very different from the prasadam which is offered to Ranganath in Sri Rangam, and they both relish it. So why not, baking or pizzas or any such things, like in ISKCON you go and you see some strawberry. What are those strawberry? Strawberry mousse or butterscotch pastries, and so all those kind of things. The only thing that I want to warn you is not to put any eggs for this kind of baking. This is just to be sattvic, and it's worth trying for Krishna. When our birthdays come, we make one cake for ourselves. Why not for Krishna when his birthday is coming? So the activity for tomorrow is to bake for Krishna. If you want to see some pictures, there are a lot of pictures on the internet actually, and there's so many innovative ways they make cakes in ISKCON. I'll just share a little bit. I just searched for ISKCON cake, and you can see all varieties of cakes. This is the 50th year of ISKCON celebration. Or these are all edible. This Nitai Gauranga is not DT. So there are different ways. They make some cakes for the Lord. So you can decide. So this is also, there is somebody. This is a cake with a japamala in it, not a real japamala, but a cake which is edible. So like that, there are varieties of cakes. So So you can prepare something for the pleasure of Krishna. That's the activity for tomorrow. As I said, there are two more important announcements. One of the most important thing which I sincerely want all of you who are attending these sessions to do this is make that video, which is actually not a very cumbersome task. If you can just put your thoughts together, if you just plan for it, it is a very easily doable thing. But see the importance and the significance and the impact it has on all of us when that is ready. So you submit your those videos. It's 20 seconds video, not like we're asking 20 minutes you think and give all your purports and realizations of Krishna consciousness. No, just simple 20 seconds videos of how Krishna came in your life, what has changed after Krishna has come in your life, second, and third, a theme for Janmashtami. Now, theme, some people are getting stuck, and I've got some queries. Actually, I got so many questions today. I had to turn off my WhatsApp, because if I'm online, I'm seeing some questions coming, which is good. But in the point which I'm trying to say is, if you do not have so many items, and there are things which you are not able to get it, of course, I'm saying if you're able to get it, you please do so. But if you're not able to, still with whatever you have, some cutout, something you try, do something, some design, whatever you feel like to welcome Krishna at your house, because this is a virtual celebration. But just by showing your love and displaying, doing that, and when you show that, and that day somebody else sees, he feels inspired. He feels connected to Krishna. Even our stories may be very simple, we think there is nothing in it, but it is a great source of inspiration for everybody who hears how Krishna came in somebody's life and what has changed. So my request to all of you is make this video, take some efforts. We don't have a lot of time, please understand that for stitching together also it takes a lot of time. I want you to, tomorrow is Saturday and Sunday, apart from baking for Krishna, spend some time in recording your videos and send it to us. Is that something doable? I see
Yes,
not Vibhu, Jitendra Prabhu.
Yes,
About
Prabhu.
others.
I will make a short video that how Krishna came to my life.
I've spoken to few of you individually. Those of you who are not answering also, I expect that you'll be able to do something and send it to us. Believe me, that's going to be a treat to watch on the day of Janmashtami. So that brings us to the end of today's session. Tomorrow again we will meet with yet another heart-melting pastimes and very instructive life of a great exalted devotee. Can you talk more about themes, Vibhu? So themes, I think I had, there's a short video in that group which I had shared. It could be like somebody can think of Krishna in Vrindavan. So now let's say, you are there alone and probably you don't have a lot of things with you and you still want to go ahead with that theme of Krishna in Vrindavan. Then you describe your altar as, let's say it's Radha-Raman temple. And my deity here is appearing like Radha-Raman, and show something which is similar to what happens in Radha-Raman. Let's say there is a lamp which is glowing and you give your description. And of course, if it is as close to as the real Radha-Raman temple, then that's great. But whatever you can do. One example was to have some greeneries or to have something like a depiction of material world or spiritual world in the same place, or showing something like the present situation and how somebody is chanting, some kind of thing, some imagination. I've shared some photos which I searched in Google. They are also not very difficult to achieve. Actually, they are very easy. If you just spend little time, you'll be amazed with the kind of ideas that you will get. It's just spending a little bit of time. So with that, we will have. No. You want to sing? No. Kirtan. Hare Krishna. Govinda Madhipurusham? Govinda Madhipurusham. Only that one stanza. Just Prabhupada Pranadhanaya Radha Krishna. And then Hare Krishna will do. So what we will do is, there is a special song that they sing. I'll share the link of, if you have not seen the celebration in ISKCON Bangalore, wonderful celebration which happens on the day of Julan. So I'll share the link, you can have a look at it. What we'll do is, we'll open the altar for our swing here, you can have a darshan. And that song that we sing, we will sing just one stanza. You can sing along on mute. And then with that, we will close today's session. But let's do one time Hare Krishna mantra before we close and before we go and have darshan of Radha Krishna Chandra on swing. Can I request all of you to kindly come in front of your camera and raise your hand and chant one time Hare Krishna mantra. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare Rama, Hare Rama,
Rama Rama,
Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Shri Guruvayur ki
Jai Jai,
Poonthanam Namudri ki
Jai
ki
Jai Jai,
and then
Hare
of our deities. Yeah.
शीला प्रभुपाद प्राणधन हे शीला प्रभुपाद प्राणधन हे शीला प्रभुपाद प्राणधन हे शीला प्रभुपाद प्राणधन हे शीला प्रभुपाद प्राणधन